Emily sat on her hospital bed, trying to process the devastating news she had just received.
Emily, congratulations, the baby you were carrying didn't make it.
James, what? What did you just say? Say it again.
Emily's lips trembled, tears almost blurring her vision.
Didn't you hear me? The baby is gone, just like your father. What a dutiful child.
James's voice was cold and cruel, and the look in his eyes was one of undisguised disgust. Her father had just passed away from a sudden heart attack a few days ago. On her way back from the funeral, Emily had been in a car accident and had just woken up.
James, are you crazy? That was your child too.
She had only been unconscious for a few days due to the accident. Why, upon waking up, had she not only lost her child but also found her loving husband had changed completely?
Emily, who do you think you are to bear my child? I was hoping for the baby to be gone. Its existence was the most disgusting thing in the world to me.
Emily collapsed from the hospital bed, standing up in a rage, raising her hand to slap James.
Do you think you're still the pampered daughter of the George family?
James coldly grabbed Emily's wrist, his eyes filled with resentment and a hint of menace.
Do you know how long I've tolerated you? Every day I saw you happily talking about the baby, I wished you would disappear.
You're insane. What do you want from me? What did I ever do to you?
I wished you had died in that car accident. It would have been best if your entire family had perished. But you, how did you survive?
James's eyes were as cold as ice. He flung Emily's arm away, watching her fall to the ground with a cruel smile.
Do you know? Your father died because of me. The car accident was my doing. I thought your whole family would go to heaven together, but you survived. You loved that baby so much, why didn't you go with it?
Emily lay on the ground, her whole body trembling, feeling as if her heart was being cut into pieces. She could barely speak through her sobs.
James, that was your child too. How could you be so cruel to end your own child's life?
Cruel? Do you know how old I was when your father caused my parents' deaths? From that moment, I vowed to destroy your family. Did you think I married you out of love? Don't be naive. From the beginning, it was all to gain your father's trust. If there's anyone to blame, it's your own foolishness.
Emily lay on the ground, her whole body trembling, feeling as if her heart was being cut into pieces. She could barely speak through her sobs.
James, that was your child too. How could you be so cruel to end your own child's life?
James's expression remained unmoved, and he even let out a mocking laugh.
Cruel? Do you know how old I was when your father caused my parents' deaths? From that moment, I vowed to destroy your family. Did you think I married you out of love? Don't be naive. From the beginning, it was all to gain your father's trust. If there's anyone to blame, it's your own foolishness.
So, everything was a lie. Her father was gone, and the baby in her belly was no more. And the person responsible for all of this was the man who once promised to protect her for a lifetime.
James, you will never have peace.
Emily screamed, stumbling to her feet, wanting to take down the man in front of her. The deeper the love, the deeper the hate. Emily's mind was blank. She wanted revenge for her father and her child. Bang! The man mercilessly kicked her to the ground.
Emily, I used to think it would be better if you were not here. But even now, you still act so high and mighty. Do you know how much I hate that about you? Now, I have a new idea.
James spoke with a cruel smile, signaling the bodyguards outside the room to come in and tie Emily up. Having just lost the baby, James's kick was full of force. Emily's entire body was drenched in cold sweat, her stomach cramping in pain. But the two bodyguards didn't give her any time to recover. They pulled her up from the ground and tied her up in a humiliating position, throwing her at James's feet.
James, you will face retribution. Even if I become a spirit, I will haunt you day and night, never letting you have peace.
No, I've changed my mind. You think you have the chance to become a spirit? Emily, I have a better idea. The owner of the Liren Club is looking for women. How about I send you there? Those men will teach you a lesson.
The Liren Club was the largest nightclub in the city, where women had no dignity. James was going to send her there.
James, if you don't end me today, I will make you wish you were never born. I will make you regret ever coming into this world.
Once you're in a place like the Liren Club, Emily, do you think you'll come out alive? By the time Rachel and I get married next month, whether you're still in this world will be a question.
Rachel? You're marrying Rachel?
Emily looked at James in disbelief, her expression filled with pain and despair. Rachel was her college classmate. It was Rachel who introduced James to her, and when she was saved from drowning, Rachel told her it was James who saved her. It turned out she had fallen into a trap from the very beginning. She was the biggest fool in the world.
James, I curse you and Rachel to be childless, to be betrayed by everyone around you, and to face a miserable end.
James's face finally darkened. He frowned at the woman he despised, his voice cold as ice.
Take her away.
Emily lay on the ground, her whole body trembling, feeling as if her heart was being cut into pieces. She could barely speak through her sobs.
James, that was your child too. How could you be so cruel to end your own child's life?
James's expression remained unmoved, and he even let out a mocking laugh.
Cruel? Do you know how old I was when your father caused my parents' deaths? From that moment, I vowed to destroy your family. Did you think I married you out of love? Don't be naive. From the beginning, it was all to gain your father's trust. If there's anyone to blame, it's your own stupidity.
Emily lay on the ground, trembling, feeling as if her heart was being torn apart. Through her sobs, she managed to speak.
James, that was your child too. How could you be so heartless to end your own child's life?
James's expression remained unmoved, and he even let out a mocking laugh. Emily lay on the ground, her body trembling, her heart feeling as if it was being ripped apart.
Do you know? Your father died because of me. The car accident was my doing. I thought your whole family would perish together, but you survived. You loved that baby so much. Why didn't you go with it? It would have been perfect for your mother-child bond.
James, that was your child too. How could you be so heartless?
James's expression remained unmoved, and he let out a mocking laugh.
Heartless? Do you know how old I was when your father caused my parents' deaths? From that moment, I vowed to destroy your family. Did you think I married you out of love? Don't be naive. From the beginning, it was all to gain your father's trust. If there's anyone to blame, it's your own foolishness.
Michael's voice was full of impatience, his gaze towards Emily still icy.
What? Do I have to teach you?
Emily felt a wave of humiliation rise within her. The clothes she was wearing were tattered and couldn't cover her body properly. But they were her last shred of dignity, though she clearly had no ability to maintain it. Emily placed her hands on her clothes, trembling as she slowly took them off, then walked slowly towards Michael. Michael remained silent, watching her actions. He wanted to see how far this woman would go. He knew he was being erratic tonight. Ever since he saw Emily, his usual calm had vanished. He was almost obsessively trying to break her pride, to see her beg him humbly. Unfortunately, the woman in front of him knew nothing. He was really just fighting with his past self. Back then, they were both students at the same university. Emily was the most dazzling girl on campus, while he was just an unknown poor boy. Emily had no idea about Michael's inner turmoil. She slowly unbuttoned her shirt and moved closer to his chest, preparing to kiss him.
Emily, look at yourself in the mirror. Do you think I want to be as filthy as you?
Emily's movements stopped abruptly. She felt humiliation seep into every bone. Her face burned with shame. Emily felt insignificant, tormented by the immense humiliation. But the man's expression grew colder, and she didn't dare hesitate. She mustered her courage and spoke humbly.
How do you want me to serve you?
The woman's pride seemed completely shattered, her entire being exuding despair and hopelessness. But Michael had no intention of stopping. He sneered.
Do I really need to teach you this? You've been married, don't tell me you still claim to be pure and innocent?
Emily's face turned pale. She had no right to be pretentious anymore. She had no right to maintain her dignity. Thinking of her deceased child and her wronged father, Emily was willing to do anything. Even if it meant giving up her purity, it didn't matter. She trembled as she reached to undress him, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't do it. Above her, she heard the man's mocking laughter. Emily's face turned bright red. She didn't dare stop, fearing she would lose her courage if she did. Suddenly, a middle-aged man's shout echoed.
Who's this crazy woman on the street? Even stray cats and dogs are more decent. Michael, have you lost your mind? Bringing such a crazy woman home.
The words were filled with undisguised contempt and disdain, and Emily's heart ached instantly. She couldn't help but turn her head to look. It was a middle-aged man in a black suit, looking at her with disgust.
Whether she's crazy or not is none of your business. But since you're here, I have something to tell you. Stop wasting your time introducing women to me. This woman is your future daughter-in-law.
Michael suddenly spoke. He rebut-toned his shirt and wrapped his jacket around Emily, then pulled her up. Emily hadn't even had time to react when Michael wrapped his arm around her waist and stood in front of David. David, Michael's biological father, scrutinized the woman before him.
Where did you find this woman? I know you don't like the women I introduced to you, but you can't bring home a madwoman just to spite me. If you did this to anger me, well done, you've succeeded.
The words garbage and madwoman echoed in Emily's mind, filling her with deep shame. In just a few days, she had fallen from the high status of the Gu family's eldest daughter to a madwoman in the eyes of the world, worse than a beggar.
Since you've succeeded in angering me, fine, throw this garbage out. Without my permission, this woman will never become a daughter-in-law of the Tang family.
David roared in fury, his chest heaving. If Michael hadn't been holding Emily, he might have thrown her out himself.
I'm not trying to anger you, nor am I joking. I'm informing you. This woman is your future daughter-in-law. Whether you accept it or not, her name will be on our family register as my wife. Do you know where I found her? At the beauty residence. I'm telling you, this woman will be my only wife, and your opposition is useless.
Michael's voice was firm and resolute, leaving no room for negotiation.
A woman from the beauty residence? Ungrateful son, I'm giving you one last chance. Get rid of this woman from the beauty residence.
I'll marry whoever I want. Don't forget what you did back then. Now, I'm just following your example.
With that, Michael coldly led Emily upstairs, ignoring the man's furious shouts behind them. Emily followed Michael into his bedroom, feeling dazed. The room was large, decorated in cold gray tones, giving off a chilling vibe. She stood silently in the room while Michael went straight to the bathroom. After about 10 minutes, Michael emerged from the bathroom in a bathrobe. He looked at the bewildered Emily and tossed her a bathrobe from the wardrobe.
Clean yourself up. Look at you now. Even you must find yourself disgusting.
The sound of running water filled the bathroom as Emily scrubbed her skin. Though she was already clean, she felt filthy and couldn't stop scrubbing until her skin was wrinkled. She felt like she was losing her mind, frantically trying to cleanse herself. When she could scrub no more, Emily paused for a moment before breaking down in tears. She cried loudly, trying to wash away her despair and sorrow with the sound of the running water. Maybe after venting her emotions, she could pull herself together and find the strength to seek justice for her family. After drying her hair, Emily returned to the bedroom. Michael was not asleep, he was looking at documents on his laptop. Hearing her footsteps, he gestured for her to come over.
It's late. Come to bed.
Emily was stunned. Did Michael mean they were going to share a bed? She didn't dare hesitate and quickly walked to the bedside, but she couldn't bring herself to climb into bed. Michael frowned, put down his laptop, and looked at her coldly.
What? Do you need me to carry you to bed?
Mr. Tang. Do you mean we are going to sleep in the same bed?
Are you deaf or just stupid? Didn't I make myself clear? Get in bed.
Emily hesitated, nervously asking. Mr. Tang, how can I sleep in the same bed with you? Don't you think I'm dirty?
Michael's expression froze for a few seconds, then he shouted impatiently.
Didn't you hear me? We're about to get married. Isn't it normal for newlyweds to share a bed?
Emily looked at him in disbelief. She had always thought Michael was just arguing with her father, that his words were just out of spite, not to be taken seriously.
Mr. Tang, do you mean you want to marry me?
Why, is that not possible? You think I need to use a woman to argue? When I say I want to marry you, I mean it. I don't care about anyone else's opinion. I marry whoever I want. What? You don't want to marry me?
Realizing he was serious, Emily looked at him in a daze, murmuring.
I thought you were just saying those things to anger your father, not to be taken seriously.
Angering him is real, and marrying you is real too. Or did you think I was in love with you?
Michael's voice was filled with sarcasm, as if mocking her. Emily's face turned pale. She quickly said,
I understand. I will do my best to be a good wife and not embarrass you.
After what happened at Lorenzo, do you think you still have any dignity left?
Michael's words made the atmosphere turn cold. Emily felt like her heart had been stabbed. She didn't dare say a word, afraid her voice would betray her tears.
You need to understand, in Luocheng, the Tang family is everything. No matter how bad your past was, from now on, people will come to you. Do you still need to care about others' opinions?
Before Emily could fully grasp the meaning of his words, Michael suddenly took a bottle of medicine from the bedside and handed it to her.
Clean your wounds and disinfect them, then go to sleep. There are things I need to instruct you on tomorrow morning.
Emily lay on the ground, her entire body trembling. Tears streamed down her face as she struggled to speak through her sobs.
James, that was your child too. How could you be so cruel to end your own child's life?
James's expression remained unmoved, and he even let out a mocking laugh.
Cruel?